The lenses are, yeah. I'm Dave, and there's Tom. And here, play.
Welcome to Retired Time Productions.
Okay, here is my Spacewalker, and I just want to show you what's inside it and how to install some LEDs. So to get inside it, I basically had to cut the Scotch tape that's along the edges here. There's some right here, some around the top right here, and there's some right along here. You just cut that with an X-Acto blade. And then you have to kind of carefully cut around this motor ornament here. And I cut around the bottom and the top just a little bit. And then you work that loose. You work that loose with your hands and get the body loose. And I've previously done this, so it'll be a little harder than this. But you work that loose and get the top off. So here's the inside right here. Now I've already soldered some wires on here for the LEDs, but I just wanted to show you. Here's the main board right here with the servos on it, the receiver and everything. It's all one board. And there's your brushed motor right there, and the control rods. So what you have to do is solder onto this little board for your 5 volts and your ground for your LEDs. And I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to get it under the camera here, but where the motor connects on right here, there's 2 wires. And it goes onto a little plug right here. Now this plug actually has 2 pins right here that go into the board or soldered on the board. The bottom pin is 5 volts, and that runs out to the motor. The other pin is the pin that gets pulled low by a transistor to run the motor. It pulls it towards ground and the motor will run. So what we do is tap into the 5 volts. So I've soldered a wire on the 5 volts right here, and then there's a pad down here where I could pick up ground, so I soldered 1 wire onto the ground right there. And then I just bring the 2 wires out. So 1 wire, I soldered 2 resistors on there, and these are 220 ohm resistors. It's a red brown for the stripes, I think. So 220 ohm resistors, and I have 2 of them, 1 for each LED. So the hot side of the LED will come off one of these resistors and go to ground. So both LEDs will have their grounds tied to the ground wire here, and then each one will go to one of these resistors. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So the wire I use for this project is wire wrap wire from Radio Shack. And don't ask me what gauge it is, because I got no idea. I just know they have only one size. This is the only kind they got. It's called wire wrap wire, that's used to wrap around pins for wiring up or prototyping circuits. And so that's where I got it, Radio Shack. It has good insulation on it that doesn't melt easily with the soldering iron, so that's why I like it. Now if you're wondering where I got the LEDs, I got them from Lighthouse LEDs right here, but I actually made my own wires, soldered my own wires on. They are very tiny. You can see this strip here, and it has very small little bitty surface mount LED packages in each one of these holes. So I take those tiny little surface mount LEDs and solder some of the wire wrap wire to it that I got from Radio Shack. So here I am soldering one of the wires on one side of the LED, and the LED module is stuck to a piece of double stick tape, and there I just dabbed some solder on it, and that wire is on there. Okay, gonna try it again here for a second wire. It looks like it might have got on there. It's pretty well stuck. Now I think it's a little loose. I'll just stick it down to the tape here and hit it again. So get it back in the camera. Part of the problem is I'm going cross-eyed. There, now let's see if we can just hit it with a little more solder. And hold it down at the same time. Don't want too much. There, that looks like it's on there. Let's find out. Yeah, I think that's got it for me. There it is. Now we just need to put a little bit of CA on it, make a bead around it. So there's the bead of CA that I put on the LED. You can see it right there. That just acts as a protection and strain relief to keep the wires from coming off. And I also put a little piece of tape right there, a little piece of Scotch tape around the wires, also for strain relief. And then I used a meter to figure out which was the hot wire, and I marked it with a magic marker right there. I put green on this one because I know green is usually used for ground, but I put green on the hot wire because it's a green LED. And on my red LED, I have red. So, alright, I just soldered one of the LEDs on there. It's soldered to this resistor here and to the ground wire there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and plug in the battery on the plane. And let's... dealing with some very small stuff here. But there we go. You can see the LED running right down the bottom here. So that's the LED, and it's glowing red because that's the red one. How well that picks up on the camera as far as red, I don't know. And up here you can see the light is running for the bind mode on the receiver. So that's all there is to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the red LED out on the left wing and the green LED out on the right wing, and then seal it back up, and we'll see how it looks. Okay, here's the final connections. I've got the two LEDs hooked up to the resistors, and then their other two ends go to the ground right here. I've got the battery on it, and we zoom out here a little bit, turn off the light. You can see the LEDs right there, the green and the red on the wings. And they are actually mounted underneath here, right there. And I just used some Scotch tape to hold the wires down. So that's pretty much it. Now we just need to get the top on her and complete the job, and I'll tape it back on with some tape like it was from the factory. Before putting the lights on, it weighed 23 grams with the battery, and now it weighs 25 grams with the battery. So we picked up 1.5 grams or 2, but it's still very, very light. So here is the finished job. It's all back together. Still works.